Okay, so this morning, the title to this story, Genesis chapter 29, is Jacob Meets Rachel. And so, we are going to come, in this story, we're going to study about, we're going to learn or listen or talk about a man named Laban. We had read about Laban once before. Do y'all remember who Laban is?
Rachel's dad.
Huh?
Rachel's dad.
It is Rachel's dad, but when we read about him before, there was no Rachel yet.
It was Rebecca's dad.
Uncle or brother.
Brother, yeah.
Rebecca's brother. Right? Wow, we have ghosts in the house.
Ghosts aren't real.
I know, there's no such thing as ghosts. Door slammed, wind, sure. Anyway, so, Genesis chapter 29, verse 1. Then Jacob went, well, let me back up just a second. If you remember, where are we at? Where is Jacob? Do you remember who Jacob is even?
He's Isaac's son. He left his father's house.
Yes, he's Isaac's son, and they sent him away to go to his relatives to find a wife. If we would send one of our kids to go get a wife, we would not send them to one of our relatives. But in that day, that's what they did. They often intermarried. They often married, and yes, your ancestry, somewhere back in your land, there is probably some brothers and sisters that are married. Believe it or not. Very possible even that you're in the line of a mother and a son, or a father and a daughter, or something like that. There were no rules against that. It wasn't a sin. It wasn't wrong. So anyway, Genesis chapter 29, verse 1 says, Then Jacob went on his journey. Remember, he was at this. He was where he saw this ladder from heaven. You know, he was there. He built an altar, and anyway, and so then it says he went on his journey and came to the land of the sons of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field, and behold, 3 flocks of sheep were lying there beside it. For from that well they watered the flocks. Now the stone on the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, they would then roll the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the mouth of the well. So Jacob said to them, My brothers, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. He said to them, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? You remember, Nahor was Rebecca's dad, right? Also Laban's dad. And they said, We know him. And he said to them, Is it well with him? And they said, It is well, and here is Rachel, his daughter, coming with the sheep. He said, Behold, it is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered. Water the sheep and go pasture them. But they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered. And they rolled the stone from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. So see, sometimes girls had to get out there and do the men's work. Sometimes, just like sometimes men or boys have to do things that we think girls are supposed to do. So she was a shepherdess. I lost my spot by looking at Wava.
Verse 10.
When Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob went up and rolled the stone from the mouth of the well kissed Rachel. Now, I don't know how anybody would feel if the first time you met them he kissed you. Didn't seem to be a problem in this instance, but if I had kissed Mom right off the bat the first day I met her, she'd probably slapped me. She wouldn't have slapped me, her dad would have. Oh, you would have too. Okay. Well, I don't usually make a habit of going up and kissing people the first time I meet them.
Not usually.
Not usually.
Only sometimes.
I don't think I ever have, to be honest with you. I can't remember. Maybe at babies sometimes. You know, you meet a baby, a newborn, you just can't help giving them a kiss. It smells so good. But
Yeah, then you have to deal with their whining later.
not really grown people, you know. Just walk up to some random girl and be like, smack. Anyway, so then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted his voice and wept. Why'd he cry? Was he that ugly? Or was he that happy to meet his cousin? I don't know. Jacob told Rachel that he was a relative of her father and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. Think about this. This is the first time we ever... I mean, we in our cars and stuff, you know, even if we live 5 states over, every so often we jump in our cars and we run over there and we go see relatives, or they go get in their car and run over and see us. Do you realize, and we don't know this, maybe possibly Rebekah and Isaac went to visit them sometime, but there is no record of it if they did. Isaac, when Rebekah left, remember they didn't really want her, they wanted her to wait for 10 days to celebrate and have a good time. Man, Abraham's servant came, told them his business, and she left with him the next morning. I mean, she was part of their life. And that quick, she was gone, and they'd never seen her again as far as we know. I mean, just, can you imagine this? And not only did they not ever see each other again, they didn't have telephones. They didn't have email. They didn't have text messaging. As a matter of fact, back in those days, they didn't have a letter system where you could write a letter. I mean, they didn't, Rebekah probably never seen or heard her brother again. Isn't that kind of, I mean, that for us, that's hard to believe, but, you know, we don't realize how privileged we are and how, you know, how, I guess you could say, blessed we are. So anyway, so when Laban heard the news of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Think about this. He knows that this is his sister's son, whom he hasn't seen. He's never seen Jacob before, and certainly hadn't seen Rebekah anymore that we know of. There's no record of it. Then he talking about Jacob, related to Jacob all these things, or related to Laban all these things. Laban said to him, "Surely you are my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him a month. I think he ended up staying a little longer than a month. Yeah. Then Laban said to Jacob, this is always after the month is over, he says, "Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be?" So he was probably stayed with him and helped out and was doing stuff, and Laban's like, you know, you shouldn't work for free for me. If you're going to be here, I should give you a little something for your time. That was pretty generous, actually, if you think about it, because a lot of people in those days worked for room and board, you know. Verse 16 says, "Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and face." Now, let's talk about Leah's eyes for a minute. What was it about her? If her eyes were weak, how did that affect her looks? if you remember, I mean, could she not see well, so this made her unbeautiful? Let me read that again. It says, now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and face. I never really understood what that means. MacArthur says, probably means that they were a pale color rather than a dark and sparkling, rather than the dark and sparkling eyes most common. Such paleness was viewed as a blemish. Well, I guess something about it where he didn't like. And here's something else. It talks about Leah's eyes. But Rachel, it goes a little bit further. Rachel was beautiful in 2 different ways. She was beautiful in form and face. So she probably, to Jacob, she had beautiful eyes, and he thought her form was nice. He obviously didn't think that Leah was. Leah didn't really probably make him, wasn't attracted to her at all. Okay?
He didn't kiss her the first few minutes he met her.
Yeah, he did not kiss her the first few minutes that we know of. As far as we know, he didn't kiss her the first few minutes he met her. Anyway, so now Jacob loved Rachel. So he said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. Guys, I don't know. If that had been me, I would have probably told your mom's dad, I'll serve you for 2 years and let him jack the price up a little bit. I'm not saying she's not worth more than that. I'm saying, my goodness, what if Laban would have let him work for 2 years and then get married? Or what if he let it, but no, he didn't. He offered to work for him for 7 years. And he did.
I couldn't do that.
Well, I don't know.
It shows how much a wife means to you.
It says, now Jacob loved Rachel, so I'd already read that. Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than to give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of his love for her. I don't know, for me, man, I'd be like, man, is this ever going to end?
But he was still with her, though, too,
Wyatt, your wife waited for you how long?
Well, I don't know about
She didn't serve for you, but she waited for you for how long?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How long?
You don't know?
No. I didn't.
She knows, trust me. Alright. So then, it goes on, verse 21, it says, then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my time is completed, that I may go into her. So obviously, during this 7 years, they did not come together. And Jacob is like, okay, it's time to get the show on the road here. Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. Now in the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to him. And Jacob went into her. Laban also gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. Okay, so we have a problem here. Did y'all notice what he did? He thought he was getting Jacob. Jacob thought he was getting Rachel. Okay? So it says, so it came about in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served with you? Why then have you deceived me? I just have to wonder. Was it dark when you went into her?
They say that they nail their faces, stuff like that, on the first night. I've heard that before.
But what about, he pointed out that she was beautiful of form, and he didn't point that out about Leah. And I mean, couldn't he have looked at her and told that it was a different one?
But he
or-
never saw under her garments.
Well, this is true. Alright. But Laban said, it is not the practice in our place to marry off the younger before the firstborn. Well, I don't really care. I'm sorry. Then you should have married her off to someone. But I made an agreement for the other one. Anyway, so Laban tells, complete the week of this one, and I will give you the other also for the service which you shall serve me for another 7 years. He had a hired hand for another 7 years, but he had to spend a week with a woman that he didn't love. Plus, I mean, and then he was going to give him Rachel. I don't know. If I was Rachel, I'd be a little spiteful, I think. But in those days, I mean, when Rebecca married Isaac, they asked her, they didn't force her. But here it seems like Laban, he's pretty much, you know, if I say you're going to go marry that man, then that's what you're going to do. I mean, I don't see any record of them asking, do you want to marry this guy?
Yeah.
Anyway. Jacob did so and completed her week, which she's talking about Leah's week, and completed her week, and he gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban also gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maid. So Jacob went into Rachel also, and indeed he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban for another 7 years. And now at the same time, look what Laban's done to Leah. I mean, you know that had to cause contention for, I mean, she was his first wife, but he loved Rachel. And then later on there'll be more contention because Leah will have kids and Rachel won't. Anyway, now the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Now think about that for a minute. It wasn't because of birth control. Who did the opening of the womb? He opened Leah's womb, but he did not open Rachel. He left her barren. If a woman has a baby, it is not because of anything other than God causing her to have a baby. God opens the womb, and he causes her to have a baby. I know that we say it is because of other things, and I know we try to control it and all that stuff, but when you use birth control and you do things like that, you're literally, all you're doing is you're not trusting Christ, you're not trusting God. You're trusting doctors, you're trusting all kinds of other things, but you're not truly trusting God. And if you're not trusting, fully, completely trusting God, you cannot call yourself a Christian. Cannot. So it says, Leah conceived and bore a son, and named him Reuben. For she said, because the Lord has seen my affliction, surely now my husband will love me. Leah just wanted to be loved. And God even said it was, I mean, he obviously showed his favor and said that he should love Leah, because that's also his wife, okay? There was no law against having 2 wives at that time. It was not a sin. So he had 2 wives. In today's world, we don't have 2 wives, okay? Why not? What's the reason for that? Jesus said in the New Testament, he said, from the beginning, God meant it to be 1 man and 1 woman for life. So that do you part, right? And so, but they hadn't. There was no law given like that, or nothing that said they could not have. Even when God gave the 10 Commandments, okay, he didn't on Mount Sinai. He didn't say that you couldn't have more than 1 wife, or that you couldn't get a divorce, or whatever. It was Jesus who told us those things in the New Testament. Okay. Verse 33 says, then she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Because the Lord has heard that I am unloved, he has therefore given me this son also. She named him Simeon. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have bore him 3 sons. Therefore he was named Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, This time I will praise the Lord. Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped bearing. Now, you see that name, that last name there? Judah. Does that ring any bells for you? Huh?
There was a tribe of Ben.
Yes, there was a tribe of Benjamin. That was from Rachel. Later on, Rachel does have 2 babies. Okay, she has Joseph, and then she has Benjamin. She dies having Benjamin. Okay, but the tribe of Judah, actually the tribe of Judah is where Jesus came through. Okay, actually we'll get there soon. We're not there yet, but Judah ends up having sexual relations with someone that he thinks is a prostitute.
Oh, yeah.
But actually is his daughter-in-law. And Jesus comes through that line. And she was not Jewish. She was of a different race or whatever. But anyway, so we see the Judah. When you see the tribe of Judah, that's where Jesus came through. That's why the Jews are called Jews, because of Judah. Did you know that? Any thoughts? That's the end of that chapter. Did you know that? You did? Yes. That's why it's important to read these genealogies and to get used to the names in the Bible. After a while, the pieces start coming together. The more you read it and study it, it all starts coming together for you. Okay? So, anyway, that's where the Jews came from. Obviously, they came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it was one of Jacob's boys who the line of Jesus came through, and they named the Jews after Judah. It was the tribe of Judah I think it was Judah and I want to say Benjamin that ended up in the southern kingdom of Israel. Remember, there was a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom after Solomon. It split, and so it was Judah was one of them. Obviously, that was who King David was. King David was from the tribe of Judah, and God promised to him that that the throne would always belong to his line, which is who Jesus came through. That's what he was talking about. Any thoughts?
No.
All righty. Well, we have a lot to do today, so we'll close in prayer and we'll get our day started. Let's pray. Father God, thank you for this day, Lord. I thank you for your love. Lord, I thank you for being with us through the night. Father, I especially thank you for your word that you gave us so that we can come to know you and know ourselves. I pray, Father, that you go with us today and help us to get the things done we need to do. Father, just help us that the things we say and do would bring glory to you and not to us. Father, I pray that you cause us to be a humble people, that you would break our hearts for those around us that are lost, that don't know you. Father, that even though we would realize that the message we speak is foolishness to the world, I pray that you would help us to speak truth and to do it with faith, knowing that your Holy is who saves people, not our works, not us, or not something that someone does. Father, just pray you go with us today and help us get the things done we need to do. Give us wisdom. Pray in Jesus' name.